Yo, how you guys doing? I'm Seth. That's my name. Co-founder of Pink Property Group. Pink Property Group. Yeah, we'll get it right. We'll get it right. I hope you guys are doing well. Yeah? All right. In the last video, I mentioned the fact that I wanted to make this whole series, if you can call it that, relatable and simple, right? And what better way to make this possible than going through the experiences that we've gone through, the lessons that we've learned, the mistakes, and some of the cool things that we did. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing, right? One of the projects that we did recently was the Sasolburg project, right? And I wanted to take you guys through our journey in terms of what we went through and give you some of the nuggets that can hopefully help you in your respective property journeys, right? And the idea is to give you an outline in terms of like how we found the property, right? How did we end up investing in Sasolburg to start with, and what actions did we actually take to make the deal happen, and through all of that madness, right? The idea is that you learn from the mistakes that we made. So we're going to be outlining some of the mistakes that we made and outlining some of the key lessons that we learned from these from this specific project. So investing in Sasolburg was unintended, to be honest. We were looking for commercial or blocks of flats. We were specifically looking for those, and there happened to be one very, very good deal that we couldn't pass up, and it happened to be in Sasol, and that's how we ended up going to Sasol in the first place. Now, I'm from the Val, right? But for the most part, I hadn't really, really focused a lot in terms of investing in the Val. My focus is primarily being in the East End and Joburg, right? But this deal was such that, like those deals that, don't really fit your criteria, but they're so compelling that you're like, okay, I have to at least check it out, right? And that's exactly what we did. Went to Sasol, which happens to be in the Free State, by the way, which is very, very far, right? And we ended up there, and unfortunately, it happened that the seller in this case was not really serious about selling the product, the property that is. He was actually looking for investors for the project that he wanted to do, which is quite smart for him, but very annoying for us because he was essentially wasting our time. But anyway, while we're there, we started noticing, you know what, this is actually a very good city to invest in, And the weird thing about Sasol is the fact that the whole economy centers around Sasol, the company, right? The petroleum chemicals company, right? And the whole town was established specifically to house or to accommodate people that worked for the company Sasol, right? That's how it is. And what we noticed, which was quite different from other towns in the area, was the fact that even though other towns were struggling, Sasol was doing fairly well, very well actually. And the roads were better maintained, the infrastructure was better maintained, and there was a sense that, this is a town that's still going somewhere. It's not a town that was getting dilapidated or anything like that, right? So we figured, you know what, if we can get the right location, right, for a property, then this property would do well and would do well for quite some time. Okay. So we started saying, okay, now this deal didn't work out. Are there any other deals that could potentially work out? Now, luckily, the guy that had brought us the deal was actually a cool guy who was very competent in terms of what he was doing. He was a very strong agent, right? And we started talking to him and say, hey, dude, if there are any other opportunities aside from this, that you see potentially working for us, you should let us know, right? He was like, yeah, sure. State agents are always willing to find that property for you, which is awesome, especially if you've got one that is strong and that is very well connected within the area, which this guy was, right? So he went about and started searching for properties for us, right? In the meantime, we did what we do best, which is to find properties, And it's a simple criteria. Just drive around, find properties that look a bit neglected, right? And then whoever is there, you knock as politely as you can, you tell them what your intentions are, which is to potentially discuss the idea of the seller selling the property to you. And we did this. And lo and behold, there was a couple of opportunities that became available, which we started pursuing. Anyway, a few weeks later, an opportunity comes up, right? And this opportunity happens to be at the center of what makes Sasol thrive, right? This opportunity was less than a kilometer from the company Sasol itself. It was around 500 meters from the TVET college, which is called Fabius Mare, right? And the CBD was about 800 meters away. So if you're looking at an ideal location for a property, this property was perfect. And that's what we went for. So what was more appealing about this property was the actual property itself, you know. It had a lot of things going for itself, you know. One is the fact that the stand was one of those at the curve, you know, and as a result, it was about 40%, I would say, larger than your average house in the street, right? That's number one. Number two is where the actual property was sitting in the yard, right? It was placed in such a way that you would have ample space for you to be able to do any developments in the future should you want to, right? The property itself had 5 rooms, 5 bedrooms, that is, right? And the layout was such that each one could easily be sectioned off for whatever purpose that you wanted to do, right? And then lastly, it's the fact that it had a garage with a servant's quarter, right? And that could easily be extended and converted to house more people in it. So as far as the layout, as far as the location is concerned, this property was perfect, right? The one thing though which discouraged a lot of people from buying it was the fact that there was a lot of cosmetic issues. I mean, you went into the property, it didn't look good at all. But luckily, given our history in investing, we knew that this was the perfect property to go after, you know. There was lots of cracks, you know, and our job was to find out what type of cracks they are and what we would need to do and spend in order for us to fix those. So that was not too hard for us to do. But for your average investor or average person looking for a house, it was quite a discouraging factor, right? So we were like, okay, we need to lock this down, right? At the same time, there happened to be other opportunities which we decided to go after, right? The idea for me, which I will explain in my lessons, is at any given point in time, you should be looking at more than just one property, right? I'll explain in my lessons learned as to why you need to do so. But in essence, this was one of the ones that we really liked. There were 2 other ones, and we went after them, right? Initially, we noticed the fact that this was an open mandate, which helps us quite a bit in terms of our ability to move around it, right? And as such, we were dealing with an agent that was not only inexperienced but also self-serving and to a large extent wasn't really helpful in terms of moving the deal forward. And as such, we decided, you know what, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get our guy to come in and negotiate the deal for us. It worked for him because it's a listing that was not initially his, and he would be able to make money essentially without the groundwork of actually getting the listing and all of that, right? And for us, we were comfortable with him. We knew that he knew what he was doing and it made sense, right? So we got in. I think the property was listed for around 805,000. We ended up ultimately settling for around 720,000 from a purchase point of view. And that's how we got the property, right? And as soon as that was done, celebrated, you know, got the finance going, and And there's some key lessons and some key mistakes that we made in this deal, right? Which I want to cover in the next video. So if you guys can just tune in on Thursday or Tuesday, depending on when this video goes out, we'll tell you some nice nuggets that will help you in terms of your property investing journey. Okay. And like and subscribe. But more importantly, engage with us, guys. Leave your comments, leave your questions, so that, this is not one way, it's two way, Okay. All right. See you in the next video. Sharp.